For regular videos on ancient cultures and forgotten civilizations, please subscribe. I just want to take a moment to discuss the concept of archaeological culture. What that is an assemblage of artifacts that are united by a number of recurring characteristics. You have various material remains, ceramics, implements, ornaments, burials, ruins, art that constantly recur together. Archaeologists note this and identify it as a specific culture. These cultures are often named after the type site, which is the first archaeological site that this particular culture was found. Oftentimes, when two different archaeological cultures are geographically close and chronologically close, we can see certain characteristics from one culture, the earlier one, carry over to another culture, the later one. That's because people are always borrowing ideas from their predecessors or their neighbors. But now, what if two cultures who are geographically distant, chronologically distant, or both, happen to have similar characteristics in their material remains? Does that mean one of those cultures borrowed from the other culture? Well, it could be. The further away it is in time and space, the less likely, of course, because ancient peoples didn't get around as easily as we do, but it is possible. So, how would we establish this with relative certainty? Well, we would have to have a sufficient number of distinct and unique characteristics that would link those two cultures together and show how unlikely it would have been for the two cultures to have arisen separately and without any communication between the two. Alright, so let's say we found two cultures on the opposite sides of the world, and they were thousands of years apart chronologically. And let's say archaeologists found a pot in one of those cultures that was of similar shape to a pot found in the other culture. Would that be enough, do you think, to show that the two cultures must have been connected in some way? No, I think you would agree not. It's entirely possible that these two cultures came up with these pots on their own, right? There needs to be more than that. Okay, so let's say both pots had a circle painted on them. How about now? Would you say that makes the difference? Probably not, right? Two cultures can come up with the idea of a circle on their own. One culture doesn't need to show the other one how to draw a circle. But if we get to a more complex and unique figure, then maybe we're onto something. There are other things to consider. Are the two pots made with the same material and with the same process? Is the same kind of paint used to paint the imagery? Do the images, if of special significance, mean the same thing? Archaeologists generally prefer to see more than one similar characteristic before being certain that two cultures are linked, especially if they existed far apart. They would like to see a bunch of uniting and distinct characteristics to tilt the scale in favor of the unlikely scenario that people of the one culture somehow got on the other side of the world, and against the more likely scenario that the two cultures just happen to have some similar styles of art. In support of the claim that this lost civilization was quite large, that it existed all over the globe, alternative history proponents point to similarities they find in artifacts on different continents. So, for example, they might say, hey, look over here. We have buildings that are bigger on the bottom than on the top. And over here we also have buildings that are bigger on the bottom than the top. Over here we have polygonal masonry. And over here we have polygonal masonry. Over here we have bumps on stones. And over here we have bumps on stones. These can't be coincidences. But when I look at these, I don't see identical features. I see way more differences than I see similarities. And the similarities are always super generic. They're not all that different from saying, hey, over here we have standard masonry. And over here we have standard masonry. Over here we have stairs, and over here we have stairs. These can't be coincidences. But you see, it isn't unreasonable to suppose that humans in different parts of the world could come up with similar ideas, especially when practical. And when they do the same things differently, that tells me that more is being made of the similarities than is justified. Couple that with the knowledge we have that the artifacts are not contemporary. This is based on a significant amount of evidence. the tenuousness of these links becomes apparent.